What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're diving into day 3 of our new player experience series going here on our YouTube channel. And today's pretty much going to be doing a bunch of jump-in events, as the next 2 steps in our new player quest is going to be do jump-in back-to-back, which is kind of an interesting choice. But we first have to complete 3 to get some more jump-in tokens, and then we have to complete 2 more after that. And then we will move on to doing the quick draft, and that is kind of where we're at. Looking at what we have going on at the bottom for our daily wins, weekly wins, all that stuff, we have our new daily quest. And I'm going to re-roll it just because, maybe we get lucky, get another 750. If we just get another 500, no big deal. This one's just played 25 lands. It's actually probably one of the easiest out of all the new player quests that are daily quests we could get. But other than that, where we left off on the account is we're at 3,600 gold, 600 gems. This has pretty much been done by doing the daily quests. On top of that, one of the quests also gave us gems from doing the new player challenge. We do have 2 commons and 1 uncommon here in our wild cards. We have the 3 jump-in tokens for the next step, as the game does reward you with those, so you play the event for free. Packs, are still the same. We just have whatever packs we got from the inbox, as well as whatever packs we unlocked on top of the 3 free packs of Wilds of Eldraine from the Battle Pass. So that's where we're at currently with packs. And like I said in the previous video, I have not entered the codes in to get any of the older sets that are not in the inbox. So I will probably do that, like I said, when I will probably start opening these packs up, kind of seeing what's inside and building our collection up that way to also progress our overall wildcard collection based on how many packs we open. We'll get that there. But we're just moving on to the next part of our new player challenge series, and that's just going to be playing in Jump In. If you've not done Jump In before, it's an event here where basically the game gives you 3 different packs to choose from at first. You choose one of them, and it gives you another 3 to choose from, and then pretty much you take those 2 and you mash them together, and that is going to be your deck for the event. All you have to do to complete the event is just get 1 win. It could take you, for the new player experience, to do maybe 1 win per deck that you build. In the new chain of quests, they never give you any extra jump-in tokens than what you get initially for this part, so you might as well use them all up and not spend any currency, as I would say saving your currency until after you're done completely with the new player quest is probably the best way to go, as there is that option to actually spend real currency here down at the bottom on top of our token. But like I said, spending the token is your best move here just because. So we'll go ahead and spend our first token. And what I typically do here, me personally, you can experiment if you want, but what I typically will do is I will more than likely get the packs of cards that are from the newest set or the latest set. So I will probably look here at the Wilds of Eldraine card that's showing up here, just because, these are the cards that will be in your collection the longest and playable in like the standard or alchemy format. So if those are the 2 formats you're looking to play, these are probably your best bet. But if you don't have that option, I would just say pick a color that you're interested in looking at, and they kind of give you a preview card on each pack, just kind of give you an idea of what it's all about. But we'll choose the hungry one just because that's probably going to involve some sort of food, and it's also green, which is a pretty good color overall. And we move on to the next pack, and these packs, these aren't really any sort of pack that are on the newer side. I would say the new for X here, probably the newer here. And then we also have the Wandering. This one's interesting because it's a card that has domain, and this is probably one of those things, if we're chosen mono green color pack initially, this domain is going to be kind of hard because domain is an ability that's based off of basic land types, and if we have half our deck already mono green, it's going to be harder to get domain out to make cards in this deck probably function to their best ability. We can splash in black and be a green black deck, and that would add some Phyrexians in the deck. This one will allow us to put look at the top 3 cards that are alive, put 1 into our hand, rest in the bottom. So that's a possibility where we could go to. Or we got Contagion, and this is just, added additional green as well as a splash of blue. And I'm assuming here this is probably going to do some stuff with Proliferate and whatnot. So it is definitely a tough choice. The other thing that these decks don't show you are whatever rare / mythics you'll get in them, because there is a chance of getting certain rares or mythics depending on the pack. There's like a % chance you get this rare or mythic, and then it'll kind of upgrade with a lower % chance. But I think for the sake of this, I'll probably go with the blue and green here, just because it will solidify more of our green that we got going on in our deck, as well as splash in a little bit of blue. I would say maybe another good choice would be the black, but I don't know how food plus the cards that are going to want us to like mill stuff and do things like that are going to really mix together, but I do think this is a better choice. And now we have our deck called Hungry Contagion. And then we can go ahead, click on the deck, and now we get to open it. I will move my camera so you guys can see the deck a little bit better. We can now go through and examine all the cards we essentially opened up in this pack. We have some artifacts. It does seem like there's some oil counters, maybe with some proliferate, a little bit of food when it comes to the Wild Double Drain cards, because that is a type of mechanic the deck those cards contain. And we also got an Elvish Archivist as one of our rares from Wild Double Drain, which is a pretty solid one for the deck. Also, it will get +1/+1 counters, which will also work very well with the proliferate. So it's definitely kind of cool. We got some synergies there. But you can kind of look through, kind of see what rares and mythics. We got the Tough Cookie, which was the example card off the top of the pack for the food deck. And I'm just kind of looking to see where our other rare is for the other pack. And we did get a Tech Tool, which is also pretty awesome. A Mythic's always good just because it allows us to have a little bit more of a powerful card. This is actually a pretty decent card when it comes to proliferate, because it allows us to proliferate twice. When it comes to rares and mythics, you only have one of each typically in the deck, where actually, if looking at the deck, there really is only one copy of each card overall, and then the only cards we have additional copies of are the lands. So we got six islands, 8 forests, a gate, a maze, and then we got 2 dual lands. And all this stuff does get added into your collection, so this will just boost our collection up overall, which is definitely very good there. As getting some cards in this manner is definitely going to help us overall start at a good rate. So we'll hit back. We'll dive into the first game. I guess they're debating if they want to attack or not. What are we enlisting for? So we're tapping the flyer. It's a 6/3. I mean, I don't know if they have any sort of way to give a trample, but we'll just block. And then they have a land. And we'll just go ahead and activate this. Just get everything big ol' pumps, and I think we're fine. I had to think there for a second if they blocked, because not everything has trample, but we got the win. And we resign, and we move on to the next one. So we redeem our token, and what we got here is mono white. We got a Convoke deck, and we also have Brothers War. Like I said, I'm just going to stick with playing the latest and greatest set, so we'll grab the mono white color, and we're going to mash that up with either cards from Dominaria, more cards from Dominaria, or cards from March of the Machines. Green-white's not bad. I'm wondering if this is probably Knights, if Soldiers works very well. This is probably going to have Equipment is my guess, just because I know this is a card that's in one of the starter decks, and that pumps out tokens. But I do think out of all these, it's probably the best synergy. This one's not bad, but it looks like there's blue on that for the Phyrexian mana, so I don't know if this is just mono green. We'll take life if we have to flip this to the other side. This blue looks like to be like spells and instants and sorceries and kick costs, so I don't think that matches very well with the deck that's going to be focused on there. So I do think we take cards that's advertising Soldiers, and it is going to refocus our double white, and then it will splash a little bit of red in, so maybe that's going to be some good synergy. We'll take a look under the hood, see what we got going on here. So there's the card that was advertised on the 1-pack. We did get a Virtue of Loyalty. This is going to be pretty awesome. Definitely very powerful for this format, as it's going to be a card that I am blocking that you can't actually see. It is a card that is going to create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance, and if we do get the caster for 5, we get to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature we control and untap those creatures, which is going to be really good, especially in this limited format. So that's a very strong card. And we'll just look through again, just kind of see what was the rare from the other set that we opened, as it does seem like there's not too many cards in the red, but maybe it's another mono white card, which won't be too bad. Yeah, so it's Guardian of New Benalia. This is another great card. This is a card that will have Indestructible. It's a great attacker. We can also enlist, which allows us to then scry. So it's overall very good, and we have some ways of putting pressure on our opponents. So I do think this is actually overall pretty solid deck. Mashup, it worked with our synergy. It is a creature-heavy deck. There are some cards that are kind of, a little bit off, but I think overall it's going to be definitely very good, and we have our dual-color lands, and we have some of our monocolor lands, so hopefully we draw very good. we'll say good game. Yep, so that went very well. I think like I said, I think our opponent made a mistake with Elvish Snorn. Probably being aggressive with it when he probably shouldn't have. We gain our gold, we gain some experience, we'll get our free card. And so far we are just 2-0 so far. So we'll just resign, we'll play again. It looks like we got charmed again. Might as well, if it worked once, might as well go again with it. So we'll keep charmed. We got muscle again, which is definitely very interesting. But I do think I'll splash in the blue this time. We'll change it up instead of doing the same exact deck again. So we'll do the blue because it's also from the newer set. So we'll do white blue, and then we'll open it up. It does not seem like we got a nice virtue, so we did not get that as a rare. It looks like our blue rare is going to be the Indigenous Prodigy. When it enters the battlefield with X+1/+1 counters on it, it has Skulk, which a creature can't be blocked by creatures with greater power. So we can make it a 1/2, and then anything that's greater than 1 can't block it. And at the beginning of our upkeep, it has 1 or more counters. We can remove a counter from it and then draw a card. So it's a card that will draw us cards as the game goes on if we sink a bunch of mana into it. And then where is our rare for white? It looks like we got Spellbook Vendor. At the beginning of our combat, we can pay 1, and when we do, we create a sorcerer roll attached to target creature we control. And it gets +1/+1, and whenever this creature attacks, scry 1. So I think overall, this is definitely going to be a very unique deck. It's definitely a deck that looks like it wants to get low against our opponent. Maybe not as good as the red and white deck that we splashed in, but I do think it's going to work very well. It'll just be a matter of, is it powerful enough to play against people who are playing very strong cards? Like we did see Elvish Snorn. I don't know if I have a good answer for that, but and either opponent's missing a color or they're just playing mono black because they're stuck at 3 lands and a handful of cards. So not 100% sure what's going on there. Okay. Creatures on their side gain menace. This is more of a card that you want to be aggressive with. They're looking at our 2/2. Give target creature -2/2. We're gonna draw 2. We'll make it look like we were looking for ways to find answers, and we're just gonna give our creature flying and see if they want to do anything about it. And they decide to actually attack anyway, and they scoop. And we complete the first chapter of our new player quest, and we got ourselves 2 additional jump-in tokens. That deck went 1-1. We were not able to go 1-0 like the other 2 decks. We are just going to claim our reward, and we got ourselves a nice joint exploration. We go back to the home screen. We see we completed the daily quest there for the day. We are almost done with our weekly wins. We have 3 wins on the day. And like I said, this is like the one weird point of this whole thing where I do find it a little awkward because it's like, do jump in 2 more times and then get a quick draft token instead of just giving us 5 tokens, do 5 events, and then do this chapter. This is kind of weird that they break it up, but I guess maybe they want to make it a little bit more digestible in that manner. So our next goal is to just do the event 2 more times. And then basically after that, we will get ourselves a quick draft token, which then I will do a video just on the draft because I will go through my drafting process and how I do it. And then I will also show some games of us just playing through. But we are just going to dive back into jump in. I will just kind of show off our currency. We're now up to 4,550 gold. I think we started around 3,600, so we've gained a little bit over 1,000 so far today just from playing our 3 games, or probably say more than 3 games at this point because we did lose 1, so I think 4 games in total. We'll click the resign button, move on to our next set of packs. So what do we got here? We have Vanish, we have a Corrupted, which is white-black. We got white here, and we also have Prototype. So no new sets overall. The white-black could be interesting. This is actually not a bad card. It exiles target non-land permanent, though it does cost 3 more if it targets a creature. So it is like a 6-mana creature removal exile, but it hits everything else. So I'm not sure 100% what else the deck is about if it's called Corrupted. We got Recruits here, which is like Orc Knights from Dominaria, enters battlefield with a 1/1 white soldier token. That could be pretty interesting. Prototypes are also pretty good. This is kind of like one of those types where it costs less and you get like a 1/3 that has the same ability, or you can pay like the full mana and get like it's not a prototype kind of thing. So I think we'll choose that. That seems like an overall fun kind of deck to kind of mess around with. We got Hungry again. I don't know how well that will work with our prototype deck, but that is an option. We got Boosted. I don't know if this has a bunch of 1/1 counters, but Boosted's all about putting +1/+1 counters on things. This creature that they're showing off gains a benefit whenever +1/+1 counters are put on things. And then we have Urza, which could be also pretty interesting, kind of keeping theme with the same set. This is kind of one of those cards that we can, whenever we discard one or more artifact cards, create a tap Power Stone token, and this ability triggers only once each turn. I believe Power Stones are only be able to use on artifact spells. And you can't use them for anything else. So that could be pretty interesting if we are playing Prototype. We could do Urza's, kind of keeping it in theme. Because we already did Hungry, I think we're just going to pass. And we do have the starter deck that does have like a theme around this. So I'm going to pass on that as well. So I do think we're just going to keep it in theme and play a Brothers War style Prototype deck. And we'll open that up, see what we got. So for the most part, our one prototype here is the Rust Goliath. This is like our big boy. He's a 10/10 for 10 or 3/5 for 5. We have a couple more prototypes at the top end. It looks like, as most prototypes do cost a lot, and they do have a smaller side. I'm just trying to see where our rares are. So it looks like we got Urza's Command. Creates Power Stone tokens, -2/-0 to end a turn. A 0/0 artifact creature token with this +1/+1 for each artifact control. That could be pretty good. And then scry 1, draw a card. So kind of a interesting, spell. We got a spell instead of a creature. We also got Gwenna here, which will help us cast our bigger spells. And whenever we cast a spell with a greater casting cost of 5 or greater, we get to put a +1/+1 counter on Gwenna and then untap it. So I do think this is going to be overall interesting deck in the sense of it does seem like it does have some pretty decent synergies between the two piles. Okay, they have a 4/5. Whenever they can sacrifice another creature and they can draw a card, then create a food token. It's pretty good. They don't do anything, so we're just gonna tap this and draw a card and then discard a card. I guess we'll get rid of the land. We'll play this lovely spider, and we're going to buff itself. If they want to throw a bunch of things in front of it, we'll kill them all. Sure. And they don't have really good attacks here because we can just block it with a Death Toucher. Our opponent's kind of on the ropes, I would say. But the 1/3 is not a problem. It's now the 2/3 Death Toucher with reach. But they may see that Iron Claw Crusher as a big threat because it buffs itself and makes itself into like a 4/6. Everything else I have on the battlefield, not a big problem. Hers is kind of here just as a way to do some card draw. Sure. That's fine. If they take my 2/3 spider with Death Touch, perfectly fine. And what are we sacrificing? The 1/2 to draw a card? The downside is they have to tap it. So if they do that, then they can't actually block or attack. All right, we're just nope. Yes. All right, we'll double block. Probably want to kill the 2/2. And now my guy's online. And we'll just swing in for 4, and we'll draw a card. I mean, it kills... Okay. So they took my creature to give me back my creature. Thank you. And we'll just play our hand. And we'll just flood the board with a bunch of things. And then we'll swing out next turn. Because I think we have it. Well, this can't attack because it's a defender. But everything else can attack fairly strong. What does this do? At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died under your control this turn, you get a 1/1 human creature token. Sacrifice another creature. Each opponent loses 1 life and you gain a life. I mean, it's good, but I wouldn't go ahead sacrificing stuff. Yes, I now have a new wall. I now have a 4/4. Still have the 4/6. I have a 2/3 Reacher. I have a card that will draw me a card and discard a card. I have a counter that has something that will put counters on itself. All right, and we got Bushwhack, which is solid for us. Because this will allow us to have any card we have fight another creature we don't control. And we're doing it now just to get rid of blockers. You have to sacrifice another creature, which doesn't help you. So that's why I targeted Denthor, because they can sacrifice this, but they're not going to get they'll get the gain 1 life and lose a life, but they won't get the creature out of it until the end of turn. And we'll hold this back, but everything else can go. We'll give this that. I have to probably block all the big stuff. And there is game. Smile. Got some gems, got some gold. We want our jump-in event. We got an uncommon enchantment. I guess I still have one more to go. That game seemed to take forever. So we'll resign. We'll get a use our jump-in token. And it looks like we have Mishra's, Phyrexian, and Dress Up. Target creature control gains hexproof and end of turn. Create a royal token attached to that creature. Sure, we'll take the green-white deck. That seems pretty solid. We can mix it with Breakfast. We can do it with Recruits, or we can do it with Rooted. I'm going to do Breakfast. I will make a note here, just as I do this pack, is that the Lord of the Rings set's only usable in Alchemy / Historic. So if you do take any cards from Lord of the Rings, or you may have noticed that some of the starter decks do contain cards from Lord of the Rings, it's only playable in the Alchemy format. I'm just taking it here just because I do think that's going to be a very interesting synergy, because this is a format that contains food tokens. Wilds of Eldraine is a format that also has some ways of gaining food tokens, so I do wonder how those two will combine. So I will probably do that. But if you want to play like Standard or Explorer, you're more than likely probably going to take one of these two, as these two are those format legal cards. So we're taking these two just for the kind of the synergy, but I would recommend taking cards that are from sets that are playable in the more expanded formats. All right, so one thing right off the bat I've noticed is that we do have 2 cards that are multicolor, which is a first. I don't think any of the other decks outside of the white-red that we splashed had a multicolor in it, but we do have one of our rares being Rena, Red Tooth Regent. It's a 4-mana 4/4. 2, tap it, choose target enchantment we control that doesn't have the same name as another permanent we control, and create a token as a copy of it, except it isn't legendary. And then if it's an aura on tap, Yenna and Regent, and then Scry 2. Pretty decent. And it's a 4/4 for 4, which is pretty solid. We also have Seer, which is another card that probably helps us with additional tokens, so we can copy our monster tokens or our role tokens that the set does contain. And then for our Lord of the Rings rare, it is Battle of the Bywater. It's a 3 mana, destroy all creatures of power 3 or greater, and then create a food token for each creature controls. So we do have a board wipe. Probably not the greatest card because sometimes some of the decks do play low to the ground creatures, but we do have some other synergies here. We have ways of taking advantage of our food tokens. So I do think it's going to be kind of interesting to see how these two play together. We also have Reprieve, which is a pretty decent card from Lord of the Rings, as it's kind of like a counter spell. It's not an official counter spell, but it's like a counter spell that they have to recast. So it's like almost like a remand or something like that. But it's overall very good, and we get to draw a card out of it. But, this is definitely going to be an interesting deck to see how it plays out, but we'll dive into the game and kind of see how it goes. And hopefully, I'm quite surprised by our opponents still being in the game where their board's essentially locked out from doing anything. So definitely good on them. Try again next turn. And then we'll end turn. My turn. We'll just immediately start with attacking. Go here. We'll put a royal token on that so it has ward. And then we'll just end turn. And our opponent's just gonna scoop it up right there. They can play their one creature, but they won't have enough board state to actually deal with our board just being all out attack. So we win that one. All right, and that wraps it up for our jump-in events. We have moved on to our next chapter, which is to use our quick draft token that we just earned from doing the second batch of jump-in events to then do 3, I believe. We just have to complete 3 matches. Doesn't matter if we win or lose. You just complete 3 matches in quick draft. I do think the current quick draft is going to be Brothers War, which I'm definitely surprised about. I thought it would be War the Spark. I thought it would be Wilds of Eldraine just because I know the set released at the beginning of the month, and before this it was a different set, so it is definitely interesting. We're not going to be having the latest and greatest set, but this is what we'll be doing in the next video. I am going to turn my client off that I do have that helps me out with deck recommendations, card picks, but I'm just going to do it with my own explanation here without no read-ins. So typically this is how you would do it on mobile, or if you don't have one of these clients installed on your PC, I am going to do it where I'm not going to have that activated. Looking at everything that we have so far on the account, we have our quick draft token, which I just said. We still have two commons, 1 uncommon. We did finish the video off at 4,650 gold, 600 gems still, as we haven't done anything to reward ourselves more gems. Pack-wise, we did gain 1 additional pack of Wilds of Eldraine, so we're up to 7 total packs. We'll probably be at a decent amount of Wilds of Eldraine packs just because that is what's on the current free pass of the Battle Pass. So we will probably get at least another 2 or 3 packs, depending on how long it takes us to get through all of this by doing only 2 of the quests per day. Other than that, we are, setting ourselves up for pretty good, jump-in experience. I do think after this, we then actually go back to the Sparky queue, and we'll have to do more rank up in Sparky queue. And I don't know if that's going to be it, but I do think that's kind of where we kind of are at overall. So we do only have probably a few more days of this whole sort of thing. But, if you are someone who's doing this for the first time, or maybe you're just creating a new account so you can try to see how this new player experience is, let me know in the comments below. When it comes to what games I show of my content, I'm just going to see how long, how long the video is, and I'll probably make some cuts and adjustments there and try to just choose what's the best games I played, just to kind of give you the experience of what I did in the jump-in events. I probably will show off the decks I got, and then kind of show off, the ones I thought were probably the best combination. But with that being said, if you like the video, hit that like button. Definitely helps out a lot. If you're new here, you want to know I post new videos like this one here on the channel, hit that subscribe button. But until next time, I'll see you in the next video.